Is your YouTube channel named properly, or properly maybe is not the right word, but named well for success in whatever you're trying to achieve? I bring this up because my YouTube channel name changed this year and it has worked out quite well for me, and it may not be something that you're giving a lot of thought to, especially if you have started a YouTube channel for business purposes, whether that be to build your own online business, selling digital products or coaching or whatever it is you do, or to supplement an existing larger business. And what a lot of people will do is they'll just go, oh, well, my company name is Bob's Consulting, so my YouTube channel name is going to be Bob's Consulting. And that can work, but I'm going to make an argument for doing things a little bit differently. The other thing people will do is they'll name a channel around the topic that they think they're going to cover, the niche that they're going to cover. So if it's Bob again, maybe it's Bob's basketball coverage or something like that. And again, it can work, but it may not be the best strategy for long-term business success on YouTube. So let me tell you what happened with me and what my story was. This channel used to be called, well, this channel's gone through a couple of different name changes actually, but most recently it was called Your Digital Ally, which if you go back and look at some older videos or even some videos from this year, there's a little sounder as some of my scripted videos get started, and the Your Digital Ally logo pops up in that brief 5 or 6 second sounder. And I was convinced that I should build my brand around that name, that Your Digital Ally name, which fits with what I do. It's what I help other companies, other B2B consulting firms and solopreneurs do. I am their digital ally, trying to help them build visibility and lead generation using YouTube as a tool. And so it did make perfect sense in my mind. But things are shifting in the digital landscape quite significantly, and something that made me notice was actually what's happening in the traditional media landscape, the legacy media landscape, so to speak, television, radio, those kinds of things, where a lot of my former colleagues, because I started in that business many, many years ago, a lot of them are they're noticing that the institutions, the radio and television stations themselves, have lost a lot of trust. And where has that trust gone? Well, the trust has moved with the evolution of social media to individual personalities in many cases. And the biggest example I can think of off the top of my head is Don Lemon, who used to be at CNN. And whether you like CNN or not doesn't really matter, but he is now doing extremely well as an independent journalist on Instagram and other platforms, just kind of doing his own coverage. So Don Lemon is the name that has earned the trust for his particular audience. And there are other examples of this too. And this is not just happening in the media industry. It's happening in other industries as well, where the brand name of the company itself is not necessarily where the customer's trust is. The customer's trust is going to an individual. So on the marketing side of things, especially with content, because maybe that's a good example for YouTube in particular, I think of somebody like Gary Vaynerchuk, who runs this huge media company called VaynerMedia out of New York. And they do millions of dollars in business. But if you look at VaynerMedia's presence on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, whatever it may be, it's a fraction of the presence that Gary Vaynerchuk himself has. And so where's the trust there? The trust is not in VaynerMedia. VaynerMedia rarely gets talked about, in fact. It's Gary Vaynerchuk. It's the person himself that has built up a personal brand that people believe in. And that's what's really driving his company, or his companies, I guess, at this point, various things that he's involved in. So my channel now is named after me. I got rid of Your Digital Ally. The parent company of your digital ally is actually EQ4 Media. I'm not talking about any of that corporate stuff. Nobody seems to care about that corporate lingo anymore. And I think it's very difficult to build trust into those more corporate type names. Unless you're, Coca-Cola or Disney or somebody massive that's been around for decades and already has earned trust, then maybe you have a bit of leverage in that name. But for most of us who are smaller, running smaller businesses or who are unknowns relatively, it's going to be easier to earn the trust of people, the kind of trust that we need to get people to become our customers, I think, to be using our name. So what are the advantages of doing that? Well, for one thing, your name is incredibly flexible. So if you have a company name or a topic-based YouTube channel name, that really locks you into what you're doing. It's very difficult to change at some point down the road. And I think in this day and age especially, it's important to keep that in mind because, let's say you have a channel on a topic that is just wiped out by AI, which may or may not happen, but there are people who are on kind of the negative side of things of what might happen with AI that are saying certain things are going to be wiped out, are going to be taken over by AI, and we will no longer need human intervention in various tasks. So if you've built a YouTube channel around something that disappears with broader market evolution, then you're kind of stuck because your channel is named on that topic or named after a company that covers that particular business. And you have nowhere to go. But if your channel is named after you and you've built a personal brand around drawing an audience to you, well, people are putting that trust in you over time. And if you have to make a shift and you're going to transition into something else, you can probably bet that a portion of your audience is going to go with you, right? Sort of like Don Lemon leaving CNN. You can bet that Don Lemon's audience online now, probably a portion of them watched him on CNN and earned or built some trust in him there. And people buy from people they trust. Viewers connect with you, not necessarily a brand name or a company name. So knowing your name creates this kind of subconscious familiarity and makes your viewers feel like you are someone that they know just by watching you periodically or repeatedly over time. And it's not just a channel they watch. And since we're on the topic of media stuff, I call this the 6 o'clock news anchor effect, because back when I was a kid, it was normal to have the 6 o'clock news on television every single evening, and whatever channel we were watching that 6 o'clock newscast on, the regular news anchor became somebody that we built trust in over time because they were just in our living room on a regular basis. And we knew their name, right? And we trusted what they were saying, what they were telling us. So you can have that same effect using your name and your personality on camera over a period of time as viewers get familiar with you. And you really are the differentiator. Any sort of topic-based name or company name could potentially compete with hundreds of other similar channels. So I'll go back to Bob's Consulting. Let's say Bob is a personal finance consultant. Maybe Bob starts a channel that is just called Personal Finance Tips, and then you're locked in. Right? You're locked into personal finance tips, and it's probably a tremendously crowded niche. In fact, I know it is. I know finance is tremendously crowded, and you're going to have a really difficult time setting yourself apart. But if Bob is, maybe he's Bob Smith, or maybe he's Bob Jenkins, or something not as common as Smith, if Bob names his channel Bob Jenkins, or finance with Bob Jenkins, well, now he's got an angle on that topic that builds his own personal brand into it. And at some point, if he decides he's not going to do finance tips anymore, well, people have gotten to know Bob Jenkins, and he can make a shift, a pivot, And a portion of his audience that has built trust in him is likely to follow him onto whatever he does next. So there's an advantage there. Also, personal brands compound over time. And one of the reasons that YouTube is so powerful is its ability to have this evergreen effect that compounds over a long period of time. And that's one of the things that, when people complain to me, and this does happen, prospective clients complain to me that, oh, it's too much work, too much effort, too much time to invest in YouTube. Well, yeah, upfront it is probably the biggest investment compared to other platforms, just because of the production work that has to go into it and the research and everything. But over time, over a long period of time, if you get in it for the long game, it compounds and it keeps working for you for months and years to come. And when you're doing that, when you have a goal to build a personal brand, playing the long game, early on, you're probably not going to be searched for by your name. But as you get those repeat viewers and as people come back for your expertise, and as some of those people become your customers and start talking about the experience they've had with you to other people, new people are going to come back searching for you by name. And over time, again, that really is search equity that belongs entirely to you because they're now searching by name. They're not just searching personal finance, they're searching personal finance with Bob Jenkins or whatever it is your channel and your niche happen to be. So you get a space that you own all to yourself, whereas just the topic-based name builds an audience and the personal brand is missing. The asset that comes with the personal brand is missing. So if you do pivot, you could lose the audience that you build. And the final thing I want to mention, I think it's the final thing, is that one personal brand can transcend across platforms. So if I think of somebody, I use Tony Robbins as an example a lot. He's everywhere, right? He is probably the biggest self-help guru, so to speak, out there. And he's on YouTube and he's on podcasts and he's on every other social media platform you can probably imagine as Tony Robbins. And you can get that same impact from using your name. It's very, very easy to take your name and put it across Instagram, TikTok, whatever else you decide you're going to use in terms of building your digital presence. And a huge advantage to that is having that consistent name across platforms and across wherever you end up placing your digital footprint. That consistency feeds AI. And as we transition more and more into AI-driven search, that's going to be what locks in your position as an expert or a company that AI will recommend when somebody comes in and searches different keywords that tie back to your area of expertise. So it serves you across platforms, and again, long term, as all of those platforms index your name and your brand, then you are going to end up with an ownership in the AI space, the AI search space as well. So lots of advantages. So that's why my channel now on YouTube is Rob Deptford. That's me. If we haven't met, hi, I'm glad to have you here. And it's something that you may want to consider as well. What do you think? Let's have a little conversation about this in the comments. Do you have a good argument to be made for company names or other channel names? I'm sure there are some out there, but I really think that this is the way to go. Your personal brand for trust building as we move forward in the modern economy, the modern digital space. I just kind of think that's where we're going to need to be. I appreciate you being here. Check out one of these videos next. The algorithm is pretty good at determining what you would like to see next, what would be important to you. And I'll see you in the next video.